What happens when a secret night with an ex meets a projector at the wedding? How does a calm husband turn a whole room against the bride without shouting or breaking any law? Why did I think I could bend the story until the law bent me back? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I'm Isola Merin, 32, and I told everyone I was modern. I worked the front desk at a co-working space and curated my life like a lobby. Bright plants, clean lines, no mess in sight. I spent one last night with my ex, Theo, for closure. I said it was healthy to close a book before starting a new one. I said intention cancels action. My fiancé, Rowan Kincaid, was calm and exact, a logistics man who liked receipts. He asked if I had crossed a line. I said no, I had honored the future by visiting the past. He asked for the truth. I said I had given it already. I hid the video Theo sent because I believed a private memory could not hurt a public day. I told my sister that grown people do small storms and move on. She told me to stop posting and keep quiet. I said noise dies faster than silence. My mother posted hearts. I took them as proof. On the wedding night, I expected a kind toast and easy dancing. Rowan stood at the projector with steady hands. He said the room should see what I called context. The screen lit my face, and all my careful lines folded in the light. I woke early and made the kitchen bright, because light makes stories look clean. I set 2 mugs on opposite counters like 2 calm islands. I picked the yellow mug for me and left the blue for Rowan. I told myself we were fine because the kitchen was neat. I told myself normal is something you can stage if you know the angles. I checked my phone and saw Theo's last message still sitting there, the tiny thumbnail of a video hidden under other photos. I told myself I would delete it later. I told myself later was close enough to honest. Rowan came in quiet, like he did not want to wake the plates. He asked how I slept. I said I slept well. He asked if I had anything to tell him before the week got busy. I said no, nothing big, just stress from the wedding. He asked if I was sure. I said I was modern, and modern people handle loose ends. He asked if loose ends meant people. I said closure is a kind act. He stood by the fridge and watched the steam from the kettle like it could answer better than I did. On the wall planner, a red circle sat around Friday. I had not drawn it. I asked if he changed anything. He said he liked to stay organized. He touched a small sticky note on the fridge that read, "Bring forms," and said it helped him remember errands. I said errands were for teenagers who still needed paper. He said some offices still liked paper. I laughed and said he loved paper more than people. He did not take the bait. I poured coffee and started my speech. I said I believed in intention over action. I said the heart decides what counts. I said I had gone to see Theo for closure so I could marry with a clear mind. He asked if I had been alone in a room with Theo. I said of course, because privacy keeps things calm. He asked if anything happened that would matter to him. I said nothing happened that changed how I felt about my future. He asked if I had anything to show him. I said I had feelings to show, not files. He looked at the blue mug and still did not drink. I moved closer and touched his arm. I said he should trust the person he chose. He said trust is not a magic word, it is a path. I said my path led to him. He asked if Theo understood that. I said Theo understood me. He asked if Theo had recorded anything. I said, Theo is sentimental and sometimes saves moments. I said that was not a crime. He asked if I had the video. I said it was private and already fading. He said videos do not fade, they copy. I laughed and said he was being technical again. My phone buzzed with the group chat. Tamsin wrote that the hair trial looked amazing. Jules posted a meme about farewell nights. I laid my phone so Rowan could see hearts appear. I said my friends got what we were doing, because we were modern. He asked when I started using the word we for more than two people. I said community heals. He said community also wounds. I said tone decides which one. He asked if tone fixed facts. I said tone makes facts livable. He opened his laptop on the table. A spreadsheet waited with only initials and dates. I leaned in and asked if he was tracking deliveries for work. He minimized the window without a rush and said he liked to keep details straight. I said the only detail that mattered was that I loved him. He said, love should not need a translator every morning. He checked his phone and dismissed a reminder without opening it. The screen had flashed downtown 11:20 a.m., but he slid the banner away so fast I almost thought I imagined it. He walked down the hall and I followed. The guest room bed looked a little used, pillow slightly flat, blanket not quite right. He said he had slept there because he needed quiet. I said quiet was a mood, not a room. He said rooms help. I said we were not roommates. He said we were adults. I laughed as if he had made a joke. I asked if he planned to sleep there all week. He said he would see. I went to the balcony with my coffee. The air bit my skin in a friendly way. I opened my gallery to pick a harmless photo for a post. Between plants and dress fittings, a crisp picture of a document corner sat like a small tooth. No words, just grey edge and shadow. I did not remember taking it. I deleted it and told myself my thumb had slipped last night. I told myself little glitches happen to busy brides. Back inside, I tried warmth. I said people have rights before marriage. I said mine was kinder because I told the truth. I said secrets rot in the dark and I had chosen light. He said light does not sterilize a wound, it only shows it. I said he was dramatic. He said words can be soft and still be exact. He asked again if I had the video. I said it was not for him. He said then it was against him. I said he was making it about himself. He said the wedding was about us. My mother texted a heart wrapped in sparkles. I screenshotted it and almost posted, then stopped because even I felt the hunger in that move. Maud messaged that she could help with favors, and also that I should please stop posting for a day. I told her silence feeds wolves. She said silence feeds calm. I said calm is what he uses to punish me. She said calm is what he uses to think. I muted the thread and told myself I was protecting my morning. Rowan tapped something in his phone and placed it face down. The screen pulsed once with a muted notification that read private. He did not reach for it. He asked if I wanted to keep building a life or build an audience. I said a life needs witnesses. He said a life needs agreements. I said he was protecting his ego. He said he was protecting his dignity. I said dignity is flexible. He said his was not. He rinsed his empty mug and set it to dry on the far counter, away from mine. He told me he had work and a few personal things to handle in the next days. I said I could come along. He said it would be better if I planned the seating chart. I said I hated being dismissed. He said he hated being edited. He picked up a thin binder labeled Utilities and slipped it into his tote. The tote dipped heavy as if there were more inside than paper. I said he was hoarding manuals. He said he liked order. He moved toward the hall. I followed because following is how you keep control. I said we should kiss and reset. He said resets need truth first. I said truth was that I chose him. He said choice without respect is just noise. I said he was turning into a stranger. He said he was turning into a person who listened to himself. He reached the guest room. I reached for the handle. The printer in the other room started with a low hum. A single blank page slid out and rested on the tray like a white flag. My phone buzzed again on the counter. A muted call showed private and faded. Rowan stepped inside the guest room without drama. The latch answered with a soft, exact click. The co-working lobby smelled like coffee and glass cleaner. I came in early and turned on the pendant lights because bright light makes people behave. I watered the snake plant by the printer and stacked the visitor badges in clean rows. I told myself control lives in small piles. I checked my reflection in the black screen of the check-in tablet. and decided my face looked rested. The yellow scarf made me look kind, which was useful. I placed 2 paper cups near the machine, one for me, one for the first member, and pretended they were the 2 mugs at home, now living on separate counters like cousins. Members arrived in little waves. I smiled and said welcome. I scanned QR codes and pointed at phone chargers with a calm hand. 2 women from the design studio paused a step back from the desk and whispered. One asked if I was the closure bride from the rooftop. I said I was the woman who believed in clear hearts. She said the video made rounds in her group chat. I said context matters. She said groups do not care. I laughed and told her groups love me when I give them a better angle. She took a sticker and moved on. I opened my gallery to choose a safe lobby photo for a story. Between fern leaves and pastries sat a tiny thumbnail of Theo's hotel hallway again, only a sliver of carpet and a shoe. I felt my throat tick. I deleted it with a quick swipe, then told myself the phone kept restoring it from some cloud mess. I told myself technology was dramatic. I checked the check-in tablet to steady my hands. Noor, my manager, walked across the lobby with a neutral face. She asked for a quick word in the glass office. I followed, keeping my smile because smiles are shields. Inside, she said there had been calls from members about a rooftop clip. She said the space valued calm. I said the clip was satire and people online enjoyed stirring pots. She asked if I could keep personal posts low for a week. I said I could, but my voice made the word soft, not iron. She looked at me like she counted that softness. Back at the desk, a man from a legal startup approached slowly, phone in hand. He said he hoped everything was okay at home. I said everything was modern at home. He nodded and said modern was a brave word. He moved on, but I felt the word brave turn dry on my tongue. I checked my messages. Tamsin had sent a photo of the rehearsal ribbon with a glitter caption about fearless brides. I reacted with a heart and told myself that hearts are votes. Near 11, Rowan texted that he would be out to handle personal tasks. The message was short, with no emoji. I typed a long answer about seating charts and playlists, then erased it and sent only a thumbs up. I wanted him to see me as efficient, not needy. I set my phone face down. A second later, it buzzed and lit with a banner I recognized. Downtown, 11:20 a.m. I flipped it over and pressed the power button like I was patting a child back to sleep. I told myself he was filing a warranty or picking up a small part for the car. I told myself people who love lists always have errands. A woman in a blazer put her elbow on the desk and asked if we allowed filming in common areas. I said short clips were fine if faces were blurred. She said faces rarely stay blurred. I said it depends on skill. She smiled like she knew where I learned that line. She returned to her table and raised her phone anyway. I felt the lobby tilt toward that red recording dot in my head. I straightened the brochures to erase the tilt. Noon brought Noor again. She said HR wanted a quick check-in to keep records neat. We stepped into the glass cube where sound feels thin. An HR rep slid a clipboard toward me with the word statement on top. She asked me to write a neutral note about recent online content. I wrote that humor can be misread. I wrote that personal life would not disrupt operations. I wrote that I was committed to our brand's calm. I signed with my careful looped initials and felt like I had written a caption for a stranger. In the break room, I found a sandwich and a new USB stick on the microwave, green with a piece of tape marked with today's date. My stomach pulled a small knot. I told myself someone had left it for the printer driver, nothing more. I placed it beside the taxes binder we used for month-end receipts and noticed a second strip of tape under the binder lip, like someone had tucked a spare stick there as well. I closed the binder and walked away like it was hot. I scrolled in the corner and saw a preview of a message thread titled "Follow-up slide" onto my screen and vanish before I read it. The sender's name was only an emoji. My skin prickled, and I told myself it was the air vent. I posted a harmless photo of the fern instead and wrote that greenery calms nerves. Hearts arrived from people who do not know me. I let them count as medicine. A member I barely knew stopped at the desk and asked if my fiancé was the quiet man from the rehearsal photo. I said yes, and he was strong in calm ways. She said she liked men like that. I said, I liked winning. She blinked. I laughed and said winning at life, not at people. She smiled slowly, then went to the elevator. I watched the doors close and timed the soft bell in my head. I imagined the bell at our wedding. I told myself sound can carry you when words fail. After work, I walked to the supermarket to feel normal. I put salad, crackers, and a small cake in my basket because small cakes make any evening look friendly. In the checkout line, a neighbor stared at my hand like she expected to see a ring already. She looked down at her phone and then up at me again. She asked if I was okay after the thing online. I said people twist videos for sport. She asked if the hotel hallway was also twisted. I pretended I did not hear and pointed at a magazine cover, asking about the recipe. Her mouth shut, but her eyes kept talking. I carried the cake home and set it on the counter between the two mugs, as if sugar could bridge a map. I walked past the desk and saw Rowan's laptop open, a browser with tabs, storage options, delivery tracking, notary near me. I called out that he was the king of errands. He did not answer. He was not there. The air in the bedroom felt recently used. The guest bed looked smooth, then not smooth, depending on the angle. I stood in the doorway and tried to decide what story the pillow told. When he came in, he moved with that careful quiet that makes me want to rattle dishes. I asked if he would taste the cake. He said later. I said later keeps turning into never. He said never happens when now gets ignored. I asked where he had gone. He said downtown. I asked what for. He said personal. I told him personal is what couples share. He said personal is what people own. He set a thin folder labeled household near his bag and placed his headphones on the table. He checked his phone, then flipped it face down. The screen flashed a muted banner, then went dark. I asked what the banner said. He said it could wait. I said nothing about me should wait today. He said not everything was about me today. I felt heat rise and tried a new smile. The printer in the corner hummed, then spit a single blank page, then fell silent, like a breath that changed its mind. I reached for my phone to post the cake and write about sweet endings. Before I could snap the picture, Noor texted and asked for a second quick word tomorrow about member comfort. At the same time, the group chat pinged with a fresh tag. Someone had uploaded a short, shaky clip of me, laughing in a hotel hallway, date stamped from months ago. The faces were only half shadows, but the laugh was mine. I went to the gym before work because sweat lets me pretend I am fresh. The locker room was loud and full of small storms. 2 women stood near the mirror and repeated a line that sounded like mine. One asked if I was the bride who said closure is brave. I said I was the bride who believes in clear hearts. She asked if my groom believed too. I said he understood me in his way. She said men like rules more than poems. I said we were writing a new kind of rule. She lifted her phone without shame and said people would love to hear that. I said not today. She said the internet chooses the day. She hit record anyway. I turned my face and tied my hair, and my hands shook less than my stomach. In the stall, I opened my messages. Theo had sent another video clip in the morning, a tighter angle of the hotel door. It showed only the hallway rug, our shoes, the soft sound of a laugh that could be anyone but was clearly mine. He wrote that I should have one last memory to hold. I told him to delete it. He wrote that I had loved being filmed. I said he remembered wrong. He dropped a heart and went silent. I felt the air get thin and told myself it was only the gym vents. I dressed and walked outside to the sun. My phone buzzed with the mixer reminder. Tonight was the pre-wedding rooftop, a place where photos always looked better than faces. I told myself a strong caption could turn the tide. I told myself people trust confidence more than facts. I called Maud and said I had it under control. She said control is quiet, not loud. I said loud is sometimes the point. She said she would not lie for me. I said I was not asking for lies, only for loyalty. She went quiet in a way that hurt more than words. At home, I passed the desk and saw 3 thin binders lined up. Home, auto, bank. They looked cleaner than yesterday, like someone had wiped the covers. The apartment smelled faintly like printer toner again, a dry, bitter scent that means work is happening. I called out and asked if Rowan had printed something. He said from the hallway that he was organizing. His voice sounded level and far. The wall planner still wore a red circle, and my eyes kept drifting to it as if it hummed. By sunset, the rooftop bar had string lights and a hopeful sky. Tamsin waved from a high table and said the night needed sparkle. I said I brought my gold jacket and a good line. Jules said the city would eat it up. Priya filmed the skyline like it was a witness. I checked my reflection in the window and practiced my smile. I told the group we would keep it clean and sweet. I said I would not name anyone. They said no one needed names, everyone knew. We ordered drinks that looked like fruit. A couple at the next table asked if I was that bride. I said I was a woman with ideas. The woman said ideas are cheaper than promises. I said promises get stronger after storms. She tilted her head like she was listening for thunder. I lifted my glass and told my friends that love is not a museum. It is a street market, busy and loud. Priya laughed and told me to say that to the camera. I said maybe later, when the sky went darker and made my jacket glow. A calendar alert popped on my phone, even though it was not my calendar. It flashed from the shared home account. Downtown 4:55 p.m. I stared for a second and then dismissed it with my thumb. I told myself Rowan liked to batch errands near the end of the day. I told myself he was picking up cufflinks or fixing a watch. I told myself I would ask him later, and he would say, personal, in that even tone that makes me want to throw cushions. Theo sent another message during the laughter. He wrote that he was proud of me for being brave, that he could send the full file if I needed it for leverage. I typed that I did not need anything and that he should stop. He sent a thumbs-up emoji that felt like a smirk. I showed Priya a harmless selfie instead. I said we would post only light. She agreed and kept filming the edges, where no faces showed. The first chant rose from the table behind us. Someone asked for a toast to fearless love. Tamsin clapped and called the crowd closer. Phones lifted like sparklers. I cleared my throat and said intention matters more than action. That grown people give each other room. A few strangers shook their heads, others cheered. A woman called that my partner must be a saint. I said he was mature. A man said mature men know better than to be made into content. I smiled like the comment was a cloud. Jules whispered that the comments on last night's clip were getting warmer. She said I should lean into kindness. I said kindness looks weak on camera. She said kindness looks strong to people who matter. I hated that she might be right. I changed my line mid-sentence and told the crowd that love is patient. It sounded thin coming from me. Still, some people clapped. The phones kept recording. I felt both safe and trapped by the red dots aimed at my mouth. Later, we drifted to the rehearsal at the community hall, straight from the rooftop. The hall smelled like floor wax and balloons. Chairs scraped. The DJ tested the speakers with a pop. Cian and Gareth stood near the back, quiet like church. Rowan spoke with the venue manager in a low voice. I moved toward him and took his hand for show. He let his hand rest in mine and then eased it away. I said we should tell everyone about our values in a short speech. He said the rehearsal was for cues and timing. I said timing included tone. He said tone was not a cue card. The coordinator asked us to practice the entrance. We walked to the beat of a slow song. People watched us with the kind of smile that holds questions behind it. After the walkthrough, Tamsin asked for one quick toast to calm nerves. I said I would keep it sweet. Rowan stepped back. I stood near the stage and talked about forgiveness. I said we all have pasts and we learn. In the corner of my eye, I saw Gareth turn to Cian and speak one line. Cian folded her lips like she was holding paper. I noticed Rowan's phone on a chair, face down. The screen lit once and then went dark. I moved closer and saw a hint of a banner vanish. He returned and picked it up before I could ask. He said he had a few personal tasks tomorrow. I said I could help. He said he would manage. I said, manage is a cold word. He said it was a useful one. On the way out, I passed the hallway where sound thins. I heard Rowan say, I understand, into his phone and pause, then say yes, in a careful tone. The door at the end clicked as someone entered, like a punctuation mark. I walked back to the main room and laughed too loudly at nothing. We gathered by the snack table. A volunteer tried to light the candles on a practice cake. The lighter clicked and clicked. People leaned in. Then, a camera flash cracked the air from the far side of the room, bright and blunt. Another phone rose. For a second, I saw stars. When my sight cleared, my own screen lit with a new banner at the top. Message thread, follow-up. The park was damp and green, and the swing chains made a soft cry each time Poppy kicked her legs. I picked a bench where people could see us, because I wanted to look calm in public. Maud arrived with a paper bag of snacks and said we could talk while Poppy played. I said I was glad, because fresh air helps people be reasonable. Maud said, reason works best when the truth stands still. I said the truth already stood still, and it was on my side. She watched me the way teachers watch a story that has missing pages. I started my careful speech. I told her I believed in intention over action, and that my last night with Theo was only closure, like a ritual to end a chapter. I said the wedding would be better for it, and Rowan would see that with time. Maud said time does not always fix cuts that are kept open on purpose. I said she should not repeat online talk, because strangers enjoy making flames. She said no flames were needed. The heat came off me on its own. I said sisters should have each other's backs. She said sisters should tell each other when a wall is not a door. Poppy ran over with a stick she called a wand and asked if promises bend or break when someone presses too hard. She said her cardboard crown at school bent and never sat right again. I told her crowns can be taped and made trendy. She asked if the tape shows in photos. I said the tape can be part of the look. She looked puzzled and asked if a ring can tell the truth when the hand does something else. Maud sent her back to the swings, but the question stayed on the bench between us like a little stone. On the walk home, I stopped at the mailbox in our lobby. The mail had been flipped into 2 stacks, too neat for a random hand. A sticky note on one pile told someone to bring forms. I placed the note back very carefully and told myself he was paying bills for once in his life. Up in the apartment, the air carried that faint toner smell again, the dry scent of pages that have no words yet. On the desk sat a thin binder labelled Utilities, only it weighed like a brick. I opened it and found clear sleeves and dividers, nothing printed. I shut it before the weight could feel like meaning. On the laptop, a clean desktop tree showed Archive A and Archive B. I told myself he was just tidying like he always says he will. I told myself a tidy man is a good husband. I changed my sweater to the soft one that says gentle without effort. When Rowan came out of the shower, the mirror still fogged behind him. I said we should have dinner with his parents to clear the air. He said dinner could be honest. I said honesty needed tone and an audience, and I was good at both. He said truth did not need an audience. I said his mother always liked me when I smiled. He said his mother liked dignity. I said dignity looked different from person to person. He said his looked the same every day. We met Cian and Gareth at the family restaurant with the long table and the easy bread baskets. The host led us to the far end, where the light was bright and nobody could pretend not to see anyone else. Cian gave me a tidy hug and looked straight into my eyes. Gareth nodded once like a man saluting a rule he did not write. I told them we should order quickly because hunger makes people dramatic. Cian said dinner would be calm. Gareth raised a hand to the server and asked for water, nothing strong. I started to control the tone. I said people were twisting a small story for sport and that modern couples practice open thinking before vows. I said I was brave because I shared. Cian asked if sharing meant Rowan had agreed to be part of the audience. I said he was mature and understood the bigger picture. Gareth asked what the bigger picture looked like when the small picture was a hallway at a hotel. I said context changes everything. Cian asked if humiliation also had context. I said there was no humiliation here, just learning. Rowan watched the condensation slide down his glass and did not rescue me, which made me talk faster. I tried to equalize. I brought up Rowan's college mistakes, the flirty texts I once saw years back. I said we all grow. Gareth said old dust should not be thrown to make today look clean. Cian said the room was not a courtroom and that I did not need to perform. I said I was simply explaining my values. Rowan finally spoke and said values do not erase actions. They only label them. I said labels are for jars, not for people. Gareth asked if the person who held the jar got to say. I said I did not come to be punished. Cian said no one had used that word until I did. The breadbasket stayed full. Maud texted that she and Poppy would meet us after dessert, and she added that she would not talk about sides. I placed my phone face down and said, family unity matters more than gossip, and I hoped everyone here would act like family. Cian said family starts with truth in small rooms before it goes public. I said truth was already public, which was the problem. Gareth said the problem was the part before the public part. I said everyone has a last night before big steps. Cian said, that is a story people tell when they want permission, not growth. The server brought plates, and nobody reached. I tried a new tactic and said I had chosen Rowan after that night, which made my choice stronger. Rowan said a second yes does not mend a first no. The air felt like metal. I smiled at the opposite wall like my smile could open it. Cian asked if I understood that kindness does not hide risk, it names it. I said, naming is cruel. Gareth said, naming is how work gets done. At a table behind us, a birthday toast began. People clapped and sang, and for a moment, I wanted their noise to wash over our plates. I reached for my phone and hovered over the camera, thinking a soft photo of water glasses might make me look gentle online. Cian quietly asked if the evening could stay off the feed. I said my feed was part of my work. She said then I should treat it with the care I claimed to show at work. Gareth slid the check folder toward himself before food was half finished and said it was late, which was his way of ending a scene without a scene. We stood in the lobby by the coat stand while cars slid past outside. Cian placed a hand on my arm for a second and said she hoped the next words I chose would be careful. She said she wanted dignity for each of us. I said I always want dignity and that the internet was already calming down. Rowan thanked his parents for dinner and kept his voice even. I told myself, even meant weak. I also knew it meant strong. Maud arrived with Poppy, who held a balloon by a thin string and asked if rings can lie when people wear them without meaning it. I said rings are stories, not lies. She asked if stories are true when the pictures inside keep changing. Maud said it was bedtime. The balloon bumped my shoulder like a small nudge from a quiet judge. Outside, the night had that cool blue streetlight feel. Rowan's phone lit with a calendar line that read, meeting, personal for later in the week. He tapped it dark and said he would handle a few things in order. I asked what things. He said personal things. I said personal things belong to both of us. He did not answer. He moved to the curb and stood with the car keys in his hand. I noticed a new, unfamiliar key on the ring, clean metal that did not belong to any door I knew. I told myself it was a locker at work. When we reached home, the shared stairwell held quiet like a held breath. He walked one step ahead and did not reach back. I reached for his sleeve and said we could fix this with a joint post before the weekend. Something kind, something staged right. He said no response was needed tonight. He closed the guest room door without force. From somewhere in the apartment, a small hum began and stopped, like a machine testing itself. I stood in the hall, phone in my hand, and watched the screen wait for instructions I did not have. The morning of load-in felt like a stage before actors arrive. I stood at the community hall's side door and watched the caterer roll silver carts down the ramp. I told the coordinator that we needed the lights warm so I would glow in photos. She said the bulbs had only one setting. I said settings are choices and choices can be changed. Rowan carried 2 boxes from the car and set them by the coffee urn. He placed 2 mugs on opposite sides of the table like markers on a map. I asked if he would bring them together for the picture. He said placement helped people not bump into each other. I said people bump because they are clumsy, not because mugs are close. Inside, tapes and cables made little snakes across the floor. Tamsin asked if I wanted to rehearse a soft speech for the entrance. I said yes, because a soft speech beats ugly rumors. Rowan spoke with the venue manager in a low voice about power strips and safety. I said we also needed to talk about mood. He said mood could not fix physics. I said mood can fix almost anything. He did not answer. His phone alarm buzzed once with the label paper drop and then went quiet. I asked what paper needed dropping. He said it was personal. I said personal things are not secrets in a marriage. He said personal was still personal. Back at the apartment, the balcony held a thin wind that made the city look sharp. I told Rowan we should post a joint note before evening, something kind. He said the internet did not deserve a seat at our table. I said the internet already sat there. He said not if we stopped setting places for it. I said silence lets haters write the script. He said truth did not need a chorus. I said I could cry a little on camera, and people would soften. He said he did not want an audience for my tears. I said he was making me look cold. He said I was doing that to myself. Inside, he opened the desk and locked a drawer. The click sounded like a period at the end of a sentence I had not read. I asked what he kept there. He said private items. I said privacy was control with a nice hat. He said privacy was respect for lines. He took out headphones and put them on, then paced the hallway with measured steps. He said few words, then listened, then said he understood, then said he would follow instructions. I hated the word instructions more than any insult. When he passed the table, a text preview flashed and folded away. The thread title was Follow Up. The contact name was only an emoji. I went to the kitchen and framed a photo of our small cake on a clean plate. I typed a caption about healing and love and almost posted, then did not. The printer hummed once and stopped, as if it had opinions. On the edge of the counter lay an unsealed envelope addressed in his neat hand. I lifted the flap and then set it down without looking. I told myself it was a warranty card. The air had that dry toner smell again, like work that leaves no fingerprints. In the parking garage, we loaded boxes into the trunk for the rehearsal dinner. Rowan placed a thin folder labeled household on top of a thicker tote. I said a folder like that did not belong at a party. He said order belonged everywhere. I said order without warmth feels like ice. He said ice keeps things from spoiling. His car faced the street, not the wall, ready to leave. I said he was dramatic. He said he liked exits not blocked. A cloud sync pop-up blinked on his phone. File uploaded successfully. He tapped it away, calm as a person checking the weather. On the metro, he sat one seat over. I said people would think we were fighting. He said people on trains think about their stops. I said I wanted him next to me. He said he was near enough. I said near is not the same as with. He said with needs trust. I said trust was coming back soon if he helped me build it online. He said trust is not a post. I said he was cold. He said he was clear. I said clarity without mercy is cruelty. He said mercy without change is theatre. I tried tears. I said I made one mistake under pressure, and I had chosen him. He said he believed my choice now did not cancel my act then. I said we could be an example of modern love if we framed it right. He said he did not want to be an example of anything. I said he was ruining the weekend. He said the weekend had already been altered. He stared out the window like the tunnel could answer. I turned my face and watched my reflection practice a softer mouth. We reached our stop and climbed the stairs. In the stairwell, the sound of our steps felt too loud. He paused to answer a call with the headphones still on. He said he would confirm tomorrow morning. He said he had every document he needed. He said he would keep everything in order. I stood a step below and felt shorter than I am. Back in the apartment, I opened the laptop to check playlists. The desktop showed clean folders named Archive A and Archive B. I told myself I liked tidy things. The browser history offered tabs for delivery tracking and storage options. I told myself he was returning a broken lamp. On the shelf, I found a single USB stick with today's date on a strip of tape. I said out loud that people who label like that are either helpful or dangerous. He said nothing. I called Maud and said he was punishing me with distance. She said distance can be safety when words are hot. I said she was on his side now. She said she was on Poppy's side and wanted the adults to behave. I said I would behave if he behaved. She sighed and asked me to stop thinking like a scoreboard. I ended the call and told myself I had no time for lectures. Twilight slid into the rooms. I walked to the balcony and asked Rowan to come out. He stood beside me, but did not touch the rail. I said I was scared. He said fear can be a guide if you listen. I said I was scared he would leave. He said he was still here. I said I could not breathe if he kept me in silence. He said he would speak now. He took a breath and said he would handle the matter properly. He said there would be steps and he would follow them. He did not raise his voice. He did not name anything. The sky went the color of steel. I laughed a little and said he was bluffing. He did not reply. We went inside. The apartment held that waiting hush before a storm, but no storm came. From the corner room, the shredder hummed once like a throat clearing, stopped, and hummed again. The printer woke and fed a blank page through and let it fall. I looked at the white sheet on the tray and felt it weigh more than paper. The reception glowed like a warm commercial. I walked in ready for a soft toast and a caption. The band eased down, and the room turned toward Rowan. He stood by the projector with steady hands. He said the guests should see what I called context. The screen filled with a hotel lobby camera angle and a clean timestamp. The clip was short and quiet. It showed a hallway, a door, a pair of shoes, a quick laugh that was mine. There was no shouting, no names, only time and place. People breathed in and forgot to breathe out. I moved to the mic and said the video was cut wrong. I said it was old, it was art, it was anything but what it was. Petra looked at the floor. Maud shook her head once and did not meet my eyes. Cian stood still, hands folded. Gareth put a hand on the chair back like it was a rail on a moving bus. Friends who had filmed everything all week lowered their phones. Rowan did not raise his voice or point. He said nothing more. The projector clicked off, and the room did not restart. The next morning, I chose a public lobby because I believed crowds would make him kinder. The office tower glass threw my face back at me, small and pale. The elevator bell rang. A man stepped forward, confirmed my name, and placed documents in my hands. Rowan stood 10 feet away and nodded once. The server spoke the words that matter: service of a divorce petition with temporary orders, scheduled access windows to the apartment for personal items, joint accounts frozen pending accounting, an inventory appointment on a set date, a written demand to remove defamatory posts. Security watched, neutral. I tried to say this was an overreaction. I tried to say love could fix paperwork. The marble sent my voice back thin. Rowan did not gloat. He said he would follow the steps. Cian stood by a column and did not look away. Gareth waited by the door and held it for a woman with a briefcase. I held the papers and felt the weight of exact words. The elevator doors began to close between us. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.